gnaw at it. And you can always pitch it right back out there, and if he's still hungry, he'll take it again. As long as he didn't get scared off by the hook. That's the main thing, is keeping them. You either want to hook them, or you want to get it back without them feeling that hook. Anybody else? Question was gars. When it warms up, torment you. Well, gar are definitely frustrating. No. Will the rattle keep them away? No. But something to keep in mind is gar naturally tear up the bait. They're naturally putting scent in the water. That can cause, at times, a huge feeding frenzy behind you. Maybe not a big fish, but a good quality fish that are actively feeding. You could set up and catch gar, and then all of a sudden, those gar get moved out and start catching fish. So don't, even though it is frustrating, don't let it hinder you or change your mind about giving that a time limit. At least give it some time. When I say time, I mean 30 minutes. You don't want to sit there all night. Give it some time, because they can pull fish in. You got to remember, there's not too much out there that can eat a big flathead, and normally he's not too worried about any other fish around him. So let that work for your advantage. Anybody else? Do what now? Okay, the question was, during the day, do I just concentrate on deeper holes? No, absolutely not. I concentrate on structure. Now, and that's going to change from more so from the time of year. Okay, so spring, like we was talking about there. Now going into summer and the fall, I am specifically targeting a specific piece of structure, whether it be a log, a rock pile, a sunken barge, and it can be 5 foot or it can be 45 foot. Now, something that's interesting to me, I have never caught a flathead in water deeper than 50 foot in the river, ever. 99% of my flatheads have been caught at 30 foot. 30 foot is like my magical, if I could ever picture, dream of a perfect place, it would be a huge oak tree laying in 30 foot of water on a ledge. When I see that, I'm like a kid in a candy store. Do smaller flatheads school together, and how big do they get before they kind of become territorial? Yes, smaller flatheads, I really wouldn't call them schooling fish, but they do travel in small groups. A lot of times you'll fish a tree and you may not catch a big fish on it, but you'll catch 5, 6, 5 to 10, 15 pounders. Areas where I've caught 20 pounders, I may catch 1 or 2. Areas where I catch 40 pounders, I catch 1. Now, springtime, fall time, that can be, different. There is different circumstances that, will change whether you catch 1 or if they're feeding, where you can catch multiple. Question was, how long do I stay in one particular place before I move? 30 minutes. 30 minutes is like my start time. So if I start getting bites and I start, those fish start telling me that they're eating, and I catch fish between 10 and 15 minutes and 20 minutes, then I pull that down 5 minutes. It's 25 minutes. And then if they start eating quicker, I'll pull it down to 20 minutes. I want to target those active fish, those fish that are eating quickly. Now, on some days, whenever you have a major pressure system or front or something move through, and those fish start, they get affected by that kind of stuff a little bit. They get sluggish. It takes a little bit longer. I'll start at 30 and I'll move up to 45. Normally, my limit is 45. It's if they're biting slow, and I've been there 45, and I'm still not getting nothing, I'm moving on. Question was, Flathead's being territorial. If he was to pull a 40-pound fish out of this table, being a log, the chances of another fish that size being in that same area are very slim. I have caught smaller fish around it, I try to fish as big of an area as I can, and obviously some of those smaller fish may pull in, but if it is summertime, August, September, that's his home. Okay, the question was, whenever I talked about, and we was talking about spawning fish at that time, when that fish comes up and it crushes it, is he gonna spit it out? And then if he does, is he gonna come back to it eventually? No. If he comes up and he is in that time frame where he is coming at that bait aggressively like that, he doesn't want to eat it. He just wants to crush it, kill it, get it out of his way. And that's where you just rehook a live one back on there, pitch it back out, and get him in. How do moon phases? Okay, so whenever we're talking about, and I want to talk about this in two different ways. I think that moon phases affect lake fish more so than they do river fish, because lake fishing is more stable, okay? Lake fishing for flatheads in particular can be, I don't know how to say that in a nice way. It can be rough because they don't have to move very much. They only are going to move whenever they want to. And big moons, can really turn things on, can really change things. Now when we talk about river fishing, the water conditions, the weather conditions, that kind of stuff, to me, affect those fish more so than the moon. Yeah, absolutely. If the river's coming up, that's going to really turn those fish on. If the river's dropping hard, it's going to, change things up a little bit. Barometric pressure. So, I do believe in the barometric pressure. I believe that a stable pressure is best. A quick rise or drop is worst. Now, I don't believe that a high pressure or a low pressure is worse. I just believe that sudden change is what makes those fish sink in the mud. Now flatheads in particular are not affected as bad as a blue cat, okay? Meaning that the pressure that the system is putting down through the water on top of this log, he won't feel it as much as a blue cat. Blue cat's going to be up here, he's going to feel the pressure before it gets to the log. That flathead can be under there, kind of protected, and still, he's going to feel it, but you can still get those fish to eat. Anybody else? An average day on the river fishing in the springtime, 20. In the fall, same thing. In the summer, like say August, where we're having to target specific fish, specific pieces of structure, 10, dozen, stuff like that. That's, but those days can change dramatically. Some of the best days I've ever had, I went out thinking that this is going to be the worst day to fish. Why am I even fishing? And then I get out there and it's like, wow, I've caught so many fish I can't, don't understand what's going on. And those are the best days to learn as well. So, does the sun affect the fish? So, particularly whether they're in shallow water or not, yes. Once again, during the daylight hours, those fish are going to come off those shallow areas where they're feeding, and they're going to move back down into the structure. You know, that's that flathead. If you can find that structure in the daytime when that light is high, you know, I've caught a lot of people say, you know, noon to 3 o'clock, I wouldn't even be on the water. I have caught more flatheads in the last minutes of a tournament, which normally is that 2 to 3 hour window, than I have during the whole day. And that sun's as high as it can be, you know. So when they're back down in their homes, I don't think it affects them at all. But I think it affects them a lot when they're up, you know, up shallow. Okay, the question was, do I cast straight down into the baits, or do I cast to it? So what I normally like to do is I will run my boat up above the, you know, up current of it, and I will get one good cast length, which is normally, you know, I don't like to try to wing it or nothing, about 50 to 70 yards away from that structure, okay? And you can do this in a couple different ways. Today's technology with sonars is super easy, you know, as far as marking things and knowing GPS-wise. But you can also go to old school. Get you a bottle and a sinker, put some orange paint in that bottle. If you're fishing in 20, 30, 40 foot water, grab your sinker on it. As you're going across that structure, drop it. And that's a visual point. You just go up one good cast length from that, catch right back to it, right out in front of it, as close as you can. You know, you want to be in it, but you want to be as close to it and around it as you can. That way, whenever he's going to move a little bit. Now, there's some days you got to hit him in the head. You know, you want to be as close and in that structure as you possibly can. But most generally, he's going to move out there a little bit. What water temperature do I wait until I get my boat out of the water? Out of the garage? You serious? If the water's not frozen, if I can get my boat in the water, it's in the water. No, that's, I mean, we you know, where I live, okay, for flatheads, okay, what, you know, normally when that water starts getting into that 55-degree range, you know, and starts warming up, especially if you have a quick flood. So a quick flood with 55 degrees is going to wash them things up, and they got to get going. You know, that's Mother Nature's way of saying it's time to wake up. And you know, it may not be that perfect temperature, which is 60. You know, that 60-degree temperature really turns the fish on and can bring them alive. But for flatheads, it's 55. So the question was, if it's bank full, can you still catch them? Absolutely. Absolutely. If bank fishermen should really take advantage of, you know, your river charts. Watch your river charts and your river levels. When that river is coming up, right as it is getting ready to crest and go back down, that's your time. You know, that's your time. Those fish are as far up as they can be. And then right before it goes back down, their feet. Okay, that is the most stable water. Okay, now as it starts going back down, their body knows it, and they start moving back out. But as that river comes up and it starts to crest, that's your ticket. Now, when we're talking about boats, you know, if you're fishing out of a boat, absolutely, you just got to do the same thing. This is the reason I say this is the best time for bank fishermen, because I'm fishing on the boat. You know, I literally will have my boat feet from the trees on the bank that I want to fish around. You know, those fish that are out here off the ledge in that structure are getting shoved up onto that bank right here, and they're in line. So make sure you take advantage of that. So say that question again. Yeah. Okay, so question was, in a reservoir, I'm talking about flatheads. If a flathead is in the deeper part of the reservoir, will he move up into the shallow area? And are we talking about springtime? Okay, coming out of winter, will he move up to wherever the shallower water, the feeder creeks are coming into it? So yes, absolutely. Most generally your bait is going to move up in there as well, and they're going to follow it. It gives them that bait that they want to eat. It gives them the warmer water, and they can go up in there and get everything they need right before they go spawn. And that's, depending on how shallow you're talking. Now, I'm serious when I say shallow. I'm talking 2 foot, a 2 foot depth of water, a 40-pound fish can swim and feed in. Do not hesitate to fish it. Now, you may want to fish it differently. You may want to put actually put it on a float, 6 inches down, but don't be afraid to throw big baits. 12-inch gizzard shad, big bluegill, 10 inches. Don't be afraid to put them out there. This is, that is the best time for you to catch your best and biggest fish. The females are full of eggs, and they're absolutely feeding up. Anybody else? Okay, so the question was, after he comes up, and we're talking about that spawn time again, he's going to crush it. Now, if it was a different time, would I leave that bait set, or would I pull it out and put a fresh one in? I'm going to leave it set there maybe 5 minutes, and see if maybe something, he is hungry. If he is hungry, he'll come back and eat it. If he's not, I'm flipping it right back out to him live. Because there's something, either he was aggravated about it, that's something. Now, if it's an aggression bite, I can get him to hit him again. Anybody else? What is more natural looking, cut piece of bait or live bait? I don't, to be honest with you, I don't know that. I don't know what looks more natural to him. As far as experience-wise, it doesn't matter. If they want live bait, they'll tell you if they want it. If they're ready to eat, and they'll eat cut bait, especially if there's a little bit of current. They'll eat that cut bait. Okay. The question was, do I use a different style of hook whenever they're coming up and they're crushing at it? No, I don't. I truly believe in, these are Diachi D85s. They're like a double action style hook, okay? They're not a true circle hook, but they are a circle hook, if that makes sense, you know what I mean? I use them no matter whether I'm anchor fishing, bumping, back bouncing, dead sticking. They are absolutely the only hook that I use. And the reason I say that is you can reel down on that fish and get away with that, you know what I mean? That fish doesn't have to completely turn around and take off away from you, and you can still get it. Yes. The question was, do I troll with live bait for flatheads? When the river goes dead and there's no current, that's whenever I pull out the planer boards. I find an area, like a big, say we got a big 30-foot flat or 20-foot flat that's not littered with heavy cover, but littered with cover. I'm going to set my baits about 18 foot deep, and I'm going to just pull real slow right across the top of them. And those flatheads will come out of there and hit a moving bait. Now, if we got current, I go back to anchor, just because I can be more precise on the fish that I want to catch. When it comes to summer, shad, gizzard shad. You know, the question was, do I troll more bluegill or shad? And that can change. You know, that can differ. You know, a lot of places, you know, a bluegill is more dominant than a shad is. But if I can put a gizzard shad in front of a flathead, I have 99.9% confidence I can get him in. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, same hook. I use this. This hook comes in two sizes. I mean, it comes in more sizes, but when it comes to me, it only comes in two sizes. It comes in a 5 and a 7. That hook right there, and it comes in two different colors, but to me, it only comes in red. You know, I just have so much confidence in that hook. This is a 7. You know, and something that aggravates me about the hook manufacturing process, each company has their own different sizes. This is equal to about an 8. Okay. And you can still fit your thumb in there, you know, so you got plenty of place for the jaw. Okay, the question was, have I had any luck using cut or live Asian carp? As far as up as we fish, I have not been able to really catch them on a normal basis. I have caught a couple in the throw net, but luckily they're not overabundant yet. But now, whenever I travel down further on the high river towards, like say, Paducah, Kentucky, where the confluence is, it starts in the Mississippi, Asian carp is a very good bait. It's a super oily bait, absolutely easy to get. I've never tried them alive because obviously it's illegal to, transport them or move them alive. But, in Memphis, Mississippi, or Tennessee, we was catching Asian carp about like this, which is about like a skipjack. And man, they made absolutely awesome cut. If you ever down there and you get the chance to use it, I highly recommend it. His question was, how do I catch my moon eye? So moon eye are super. A lot of people overthink it. They're super easy to catch. Just a regular bluegill rig. Just a small bobber with a mealworm, a cricket, a small lead, just like you're trying to catch bluegill. A lot of places you can catch them are lock and dams. In the springtime they'll move up in them seam lines. But off of the back sides of barges, if you see like a white foam, and you wanna, they're time specific really. Late evening, early morning are the best times. When that sun comes up, like you was talking about, they don't care much for that. Now, if you're at a locked dam, you can catch them throughout the day. But on the main river, it's real close to dark is the best time, or real early in the morning. And you can see them, they look like little raindrops on the water. You want to go out and you want to look for them when it's crystal slick. And they'll look like little raindrops, okay? And they're super finicky. You want to get way up ahead of them and let your boat drift down and just try to make as little noise as you can and just drift through them. Don't turn your trolling motor on. Don't even have your sonar on. Just drift down through them and let your float go down through there. Take another. All right, looks like they're ready to go, so I'm gonna have to hop out of here. If you guys have any more questions, you want to continue to talk, come over to the Extreme booth. I'll be over there, and I will be willing and grateful to answer your questions. I want to thank you guys for joining me.